Call 239-776-0018.
Good morning, world. Good morning, world. My name is Brandon Louis-xvi. I am with this immaculate guy, business owner, retired business owner, Tony Higgs, and he's given me the time and the grace to bless us with his knowledge and his journey through his entrepreneurship. And we all know it's not easy, so we want to hear from his mouth directly, and we want him to just share, his experiences, his morals, his ethics, what he's learned from his years of being in the game. And I know he had to adjust through the economy, the market, president changes, all that. And what he's went through already, we are probably going to have to go through it at some point in a different way or form. So I'm gonna give him the floor. We've been trying to have this meeting for quite some time. And I really appreciate him taking the time out to not only blessing me, but blessing all the viewers from what all he knows. So let's cut our learning curve in half with this interview right here, and the floor is yours. So Tony, let's just start off. I know you was a franchise owner, franchisee, and what made you choose to take that route first instead of just starting your own business and brand?
Well, we arrived in America fresh and without jobs in the year 2001, and I worked for other people for a little while, and I just realized I did not want to work for other people. I realized that my route in life was to work for myself. So I had a desire to do something for myself and for my wife and for my family. And in looking at whether it should be starting a new business or joining an existing franchise, I felt because I was new into the country, joining a successful, proven product or business was a safer route for me as I went forward in a business.
Okay, that's nice. And you said you moved down here. Where did you move from, and around what time was that?
So it was actually October 2001, direct from England. We already had a home here, but we disposed of a business back in England, and we had green cards, so we decided to pack up all our belongings, move to the new house, and put faith in God to hope that we could start a new life and career in America. Follow the American dream, as they say.
That's meaningful, because see, we think about transitioning all the time. We transition from high school to college, from playing sports to having to work into the work life. So how difficult, how challenging was that transition, coming from a different country to America, fresh start, new business, new connections? How was that, and how did you adjust to it?
I think a simple answer to that question is mental attitude. If you feel that you can't do something, you're probably not going to do it. If you feel that you can do something, then you're more likely to achieve that goal. If your mind is open to a different way of living, a different way of life, a different opportunity. I'm blessed because my background and that of my wife is international. I've actually lived in 6 countries now, and my career in the early years of my life was overseas in the construction industry. So it wasn't new to me to be in a different environment outside of my native country of England. But as I say, if your mental attitude is open to an opportunity, then you're much more likely to succeed than if it's closed.
Okay. Wise jewels. See, a lot of people, they kind of stayed in their hometown and stayed in their bubble, so they haven't really had the opportunity to grow outside what they're normally used to. So what are some things that you would suggest to someone who's ready to step outside what's normal to him, and just to be able to prepare himself, for the outside world, or something different when it comes?
Well, if you've never been outside of your town or your city, then going somewhere different can appear to be scary. You're unsure what's going to happen, how things are going to turn out, so you decide to stay safe in your environment rather than experience something outside of your environment. So you've got to be brave. You've got to have a desire, a burning desire to do something new and different. And you've got to put faith in your God that it'll be okay. But it starts, I think, with a burning desire to do something new and different, and then you've got to face the fire and move towards that goal.
Wise. So when you came in 2001.
2001.
You came down here. When you bought into Budget Blondes, how many years was that after you came to America?
About 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah,
That's
so
pretty quickly.
we came to America. I worked for other people for a little while, hated it with a passion, didn't like the constraints of working for somebody else, having to conform to their time schedule, no vacations and such like. I wanted to work independently and do something for myself.
Can you tell us the early stages of entrepreneurship for you? If you can remember.
The early stages are scary stages. I remember talking to my wife saying, I want to work for myself. And the first thing to do when you decide to work for yourself is what are you going to do? And my background was construction, but that was English construction, which wasn't going to transfer over to American construction. So I had to find a new business. So the first question is, what am I going to do? And that's scary. But fortunately, the internet had started operating quite nicely, so we started looking online at opportunities, and we fell upon the franchise of Budget Blinds, window treatments, and I felt that this was a good fit for me. But as I say, the first stage is deciding that you want to do something for yourself, and then looking at an opportunity.
Okay. So let's say, a mid-adult, about to have a kid, still trying to figure it out, but don't have a lot of money to purchase a franchise. What would you recommend or suggest for the young adult who's trying to figure it out, who don't have a ton of money, who would like to start his own business or get into franchising?
Well, clearly this is a constraint on anybody. If you don't have money to start a business, then it is more difficult to start a business. Therefore, you've got to work within your means. If you know you have a certain constraint on the amount of money you can invest in a business, you've got to find a business that is affordable for you. That's probably going to change what it is you choose. For example, in the thinking process of what am I going to do, I thought about a McDonald's franchise or something which was brick and mortar. And when you start looking into what the costs are, they are in the hundreds of thousands, and I didn't feel comfortable in investing or borrowing that amount of money to start a business. And many people just don't have that opportunity. So I had to look at a business which I felt was more affordable for me and something I could invest in with the funds that I had. Now, the funds that I had may not be the funds that somebody else has. Their funds may be lower. So you've got to find an avenue that you feel is going to sustain you as a business, but also you can afford as a business. There's always the route of borrowing, but borrowing can be scary. The interest rates are high, and you've got a risk factor by borrowing money. So we decided to stay within the confines of what we could afford. So that would be my advice. Look for a business, but stay within the confines of what you feel comfortable affording. And if you can't afford it, then wait a while, try and save some money, and then go into the business when you feel as though you can afford it. Many businesses, I think, will fail because they're not properly funded, and then they can't sustain the first few months. Remember, when you're starting a brand new business, you've got to fund yourself for a little while, several months, before you're actually going to start taking in an income, and you've got to bear that in mind.
That's true. That's so true. A lot of times people look at other mentors or other inspirators, and they try to emulate their style, but they just haven't been through the ropes, or they haven't saved up enough that's needed to make those type of jumps. So I feel like what you shared is important. Like, know where you at, set a goal, and try to scale it, and maybe you can sell the business in the long term or short term, like how you did. But let's speak more about selling the business, because I know somebody might start something that they just doing it because that's all they can right now at the moment, but then they might not want to be on it for a long time. So how can they go about starting a business, scaling it, and putting in a position to be sold to somebody in the future? What's that process like?
Well, you mentioned it, actually, goals. You've got to have a clear idea in your mind about if you're going to start a business, what you want to achieve out of that business. What your end game, even from the start, what your end game is. Are you looking at this business as a short-term goal to stay in it for a few years and then sell it on and then move on to something else? Or do you see it as a long-time process that you're going to be in this business for maybe 10, 20 years? And that was our concept, to buy our business and be in it for the long term. So you've got to have some firm goals in mind when you start going on your route of your new business.
Okay. See, you mentioned something earlier, how technology had just started erupting around the time you came here and started your business. But see, there's so much different resources out here for kids or young adults nowadays to learn, like YouTube, courses. But what are some things that you can recommend to, like I said, a young adult who's want to get into something particular, who don't want to go to school because school is not really for them, that's not a traditional route? What are some things you can recommend to a young person who's looking to start a business but don't know much about that field but will want to learn in that field? So what's something you can suggest for them?
So if you're young, looking for a business or a future, start with, what are you passionate about? What jazzes you? What gets you up in the morning? What do you like doing? And try and find an opportunity that lends itself to the things that you enjoy doing. Let's take an example. If you hate accounting, accountants are numerical types of people. If you hate accounting, then don't go into a financial type of business. If you're a practical person, if you like working with your hands, look for an opportunity that's going to work towards your skill set. So as a young person, what are you good at? What do you think you can do? And work around that as the starting point for looking for your business.
Okay. And I know, as you said, you had the backing and the savings, but let me phrase this right, because I want people to be able to kind of dissect this and take this in properly in the layman's terms. But let me see. Let me read my question, see if I can form this in a better way. So, hold on real quick. I'm probably gonna cut this part out because it takes too long to get to the question. But budget blinds, well, did you find that, or did it kind of find you? Because I know that's kind of within the window treatment construction field, but still, that's like a small niche. So is that something that kind of like came to you, or you found it?
Well, let's be specific. How did I go about finding budget blinds? As I mentioned, the internet was kind of up and running in the early 2000s. So I went online and I started looking for opportunities. And because my background, it was construction, and because I'm a practical individual, I was looking for a practical kind of business. So I saw a few businesses which were bricks and mortar, and as I said earlier, high ticket items to purchase, which wasn't for me. And I started looking around the trade type businesses. As an example, there was a couple of opportunities which were van based. You purchased a franchise, you bought a van, and you worked out of your van. A tool company was one example I saw. A carpet cleaning process was one I saw. Didn't really appeal to me, but then I did see budget blinds, window treatments. And I thought, budget blinds, window treatments. How many houses are there in the Naples area that have windows? All of them. So I thought, well, there's an opportunity, because all houses have windows. They need window treatments. What am I purchasing within budget blinds? I'm purchasing a brand name nationwide, an opportunity to work within a specific area which was exclusive to me, with vendors that were exclusive to budget blinds, and with a strong franchisor management structure to support me. So I thought, well, this is becoming interesting. It's something I can do because it's practical. I know how to put up things in my own home, so I should be able to put up window treatments in somebody else's home, and it's practical. It should be okay. Then the other thing I explored was, when am I going to earn income? And so many opportunities that I was looking at said, be prepared to fund yourself for at least 1 year. And I thought to myself, I've got to support myself with no income for a year. That's going to be difficult. But very clearly, Budget Blind said, within month 3 of operation, you will take an income if you follow our procedures correctly. Now that got me excited. In 3 months' time, if I follow their procedures and what they tell me to do, then I'll be taking an income, not just earning sales, but taking an income from those sales. And so I decided to explore this opportunity further. So that the point here is, if you're deciding on a business opportunity, do your research, be diligent. Don't just hope it's going to work. Make sure what you're hearing and what you're being told is correct. So I checked with other franchisees that what I was being told by the franchisor was in fact accurate, and I found out that it was true. I went over to California to meet with the franchisors, to look at them and speak to them one-to-one to make sure I was comfortable with the business philosophy, the people involved in the company, and how they operated their business. And I was happy. So little by little, the process was coming into focus for me, that this was an opportunity that I could afford, I could do, and I could be successful with, and would give me income.
Okay. So it seems like starting with the franchisee is pretty much like not a walk in the park, but they pretty much train you, they equip you, and give you all the resources you need to kind of carry on and be successful.
Well, buying a franchise, this is what you get. You get a known brand. If you choose the one that's right for you, you're getting a product that is known in the marketplace. So when you start promoting the brand, it's a known product already. So you're not. It's a safer route. So the disadvantage, of course, is you're going to pay a franchise fee up front, and then you're going to pay royalties pretty much every month for the privilege of operating under that brand. But because it already has a success story already, then it's, in my opinion, I felt safer than starting a window treats company which was called Higgs Window Treats rather than Budget Blinds, a known product. So for me, it was a safer route, and I had a structure behind me to support me. And being new into the country, I felt having the support of a franchisor was very important in moving forward and being successful in my business.
Okay. So 3 traits that you would say that carried you on and throughout the years to what got you to this point. What are 3 traits you say carried?
3 traits, okay. Determination is one trait. You've got to be determined at what you do. There's no point in just hoping it's going to work. You've got to have faith in what you're doing and be determined to make it succeed. You've got to be bullish about what you do. You've got to be hard-working about what you do. Hard-working is so important. And I remember thinking to myself in the early years, what can I do that other people aren't prepared to do? Because if I'm prepared to do things others won't, then maybe I'm going to be more successful than they are. And that proved to be the case. I was prepared to go out and get out of my comfort zone. So one of the traits is get out of your comfort zone. Be determined, get out of your comfort zone. And I guess the third trait is work with integrity, work with honesty. Make sure that what you are doing is for the benefit of others and not just for your benefit. And that is so important in any business.
That's beautiful, because I feel like a lot of people forget that when you get into a business, it's not just for you to get rich, but it is to serve other people. That's where the true success comes in.
As we went through our career and we had staff working for us and we were becoming more successful, I would say to my staff on a regular basis, make the customer happy. Because if you're making the customer happy, then you're doing things right. Now, that's not to say that everything goes right 100% of the time. That's impossible. But if things go wrong, fix them and make the customer happy. Make sure that as you go through your working day, doesn't matter what position you have in the company, you're part of making that customer happy, making that customer feel good, making that customer feel as though they've made the right choice in the company they're using. If you have that mindset as you go through your working day, week, month, year, then you're more likely to succeed than if you're just don't care.
Yeah.
Make the customer happy. And I would say that to all my staff, and that became our mantra. Make the customer happy. I'd say it over and over again.
No matter what it takes, if a problem happens, just try to fix it.
Fix it, make the customer happy.
I love that. I love that. Because we all go through that. We're all going to run across something the way it don't go our way or don't go their way. And they're going to present it to us, and just our job and due diligence to try our best.
And sometimes customers aren't easy to work with. Sometimes customers aren't right. But if you can step back and think, how can I make this work? How can I make this customer happy and content with what I'm doing? Then, again, you're doing the right thing. Integrity. I said it earlier. Integrity.
Amen. Amen. Now, see, there's discrepancy. When people think about starting businesses, they think that, they're going to have a lot more time to themselves and, not on the business. So what was your time like from when you was working for a company to when you started your company? What was your hours that you was working like a week? And did you notice a change once you started doing better in the business, that your hours started dropping, you had to work less?
I wish. Back in England, I co-owned a computer training company after I went out of construction. So I'd had an experience of working for myself within a partnership. As I said, when we moved to America, I worked for other people. So I was controlled by the hours they wanted me to work. And I've always felt in life you should not just work the minimum, but work over and above the minimum, and try and differentiate yourself from maybe another employee. This person, in this case me, he works harder and works more hours than the other person. So that was my mindset, is always to do more than what is required, work harder than other people. And this is a good mindset to go into your own business, work harder than your competitors. So in terms of hours, I would say to my wife, who would schedule my appointments, if the customer wants me, I'll go. She says, what do you mean, Saturdays? For sure. This is in the early days, for sure. For sure I work Saturdays. What, any time on Saturday? Yes. Sunday was the day that was sacred. We wouldn't work Sundays unless there was a really special reason not to. But I would work any hours required if a customer wanted me. So, yes, the hours early on were longer. And in the early days, it was just my wife and I, and then one installer who would do the work installing the window treatments that we would sell. But as time went on, we took on more staff. So your question was, as time went on, did our hours get less? Well, the job description may have changed somewhat, but if you have staff, they look up to you as their leader. So you can't ask staff to do more than you're prepared to do yourself. So I never saw a drop off in the number of hours I did. I had to lead by example. That meant work hard, probably work harder than my staff. But that's a good trait, work ethic.
Okay.
And if people see your work ethic as high, then they're more likely to have a better work ethic themselves because they have someone to use as a role model.
Okay. So hearing from another boss's mouth, because I know when you in the workspace, we never really know what goes on in like the workroom until somebody either tells us or something happens, and that's when we figure it out. But when it comes to the employees, what are some ways that you motivated them, or that you can motivate them, or just to do better, to do more, to not feel like they only can get paid not what they're worth, but the type of, they only could produce the amount of work they do from what they get paid. So what is some advice you can change the younger generation mindset to stop thinking, I have to work, I can't work harder than what I'm getting paid? Like, what's the goal? What's the benefit of eliminating that mindset?
Yeah, it's a very good question, actually, Brandon, because your aspirations in the business, what you see as the future in your business and what you're going to achieve out of the business, aren't the same aspirations as an employee. As you say, they're looking at going to work and saying, what have I got to do? What am I getting paid? And if I do more, do I get paid more? Or what's the incentive to do it? So their approach to the business is going to be different to your approach to the business, clearly. So how can you motivate your staff, I guess is what you're asking me. It starts with trying to find the right staff in the first place. And as you well know, you have your own business, it's one of the hardest things in any business is finding the right staff. And of course, when you do find the right staff, how the heck are you going to keep them? That's the goal. Keep the staff. If you've got good staff, you need to keep those staff. So, in identifying and having identified the right staff, how can you motivate them? Well, first, I mentioned it earlier, be a good role model for them. If they see someone that they can know, like, and respect and trust, they're more likely to want to be in that business than not be in that business. So you as an employer have got to respect your employees. You've got to treat them fairly and honestly and with respect. And I think it starts with that. You're building a relationship. Business is all about building relationships. Customers build a relationship. Suppliers build a relationship. Employees build a relationship. If you have the right relationship, then they're more likely to stay. But I'm afraid that's not good enough. They've got to see something in the business that's good for them. And clearly the starting point is to compensate them appropriately. If you compensate them properly, then you're more likely to retain your staff. So my attitude was, see what other employers in the same industry were paying and pay a bit more. So that if one of my employees wants to look somewhere else, they can see that they're not going to get as much from another employer. I would also try and look at ways to say thank you on a regular or semi-regular basis. So I would do monthly meetings where we'd buy breakfast. And so it was a team gathering opportunity, something for them, breakfast, and that was something that they would look forward to. Periodically, I would give them a small cash bonus, just to say thank you in a financial way. Twice a year, I would give my staff bonuses, and these were substantial bonuses based out of how profitable we were as a business and how much we felt we could afford to give our staff as a bonus to say thank you, not just once a year, but twice a year. So that was something to look forward to. End of the year, we'd have a very nice Christmas dinner, which is again something to look forward to. But over and above that, you can look at other benefits. The big benefit that I always wanted to give my staff was health benefit. I'm sorry, but health benefits in America these days are onerously expensive for a small business to hand out, so it was difficult. But what we did do is we started a pension fund where we would pay into the pension fund of our staff after they've been with us more than 1 year, and they were at liberty to pay into that themselves. But we would give them a financial benefit into a pension so they could see something growing towards their future with budget lines. So we were always looking at ways of giving some benefits to our staff that made them feel as though they were being fairly looked after and compensated over and above what others might do.
Special. That makes me want to come work for you. No, that's awesome.
But it's important. You've got good staff. Say thank you in the appropriate way. And the words thank you are very important in life. But thank you doesn't put a meal on the table. You've got to say thank you tangibly, and that means you've got to compensate financially appropriately.
No, I agree. People work harder when they feel appreciated.
Absolutely. Always.
On the contrary, when they feel used. But see, we as a business owner, you spend so much time thinking about other people, your business, the employees. How do you think about yourself? What are some ways you reset and just get back, that energy and that inspiration, that aspiration? Because I know we get weak at sometimes. I know you get discouraged at sometimes. A client's upset, bad review, truck crash. Like, how do you reset your mind and get back fresh?
Well, I've just talked quite a lot about compensating staff. Very, very important. You've got to compensate yourself. You've got to be doing this for a reason. You've got to periodically find ways of energizing yourself. If all you see for the next year is work, it does get tiring. It does get disparaging. So you've got to find ways to motivate yourself. And Budget Blinds, the franchisor, very much helped in this process. Through their vendors would say, if you reach a target sales goal with us, we will send you on a vacation for you and your wife. And these weren't just any old vacation. Let's think of the vacations we went on. We went to Mexico a number of times with different vendors, and that's fine. But 2021, a 1-week cruise in the Mediterranean.
Wow.
Now, if you're being told if you meet a sales goal, you're going on a 1-week cruise in the Mediterranean, then that energizes you, and that keeps you fresh and working towards that goal.
Yeah.
To achieve that reward.
Yeah.
So just as you give staff rewards, in this case, our vendors gave us rewards for achieving sales goals. By the way, those sales goals change, and they changed upwards every single year.
I bet they do.
But that means you've got to push harder, and there's the motivation. So tangible goals are important, but you've also got to set yourself, I guess, emotional goals, and maybe that's spending more time sometimes with your family, doing stuff as a family, and perhaps another intangible goal is the satisfaction of knowing that what you're doing in your business for other people means something special to them. We've said thank you. I was saying thank you is good, but not to put food on the table. But when a customer says thank you, and they're prepared to put that in writing as a testimonial for all to see that says, this company are better than the rest. This person is great at what they do, and I can't thank them enough for how they looked after us in the process of window treatments. When you get gratitude back from customers, then there's a reward in itself, and that makes you feel better and helps you want to strive to do that again for other people.
Yeah, that's true. It does feel good being able to give back and put a smile on other people's faces.
Giving back. And another way of giving back, which is two-way. If you can find a business or a charity or something that you feel passionate about, and you can give something to others without expectation of any reward, then you feel you feel good in yourself for having done it. You've done it for all the right reasons, not expecting any in return. But again, that helps you feel more sustained within.
Okay, all right.
Giving back is important in life, at any stage of your life.
Would you say you're a pretty good presenter or communicator?
It's others to decide. When I first picked up a microphone, I liked it. When I first joined BNI, I was much more timid than I am today. I believe that I am a reasonably good communicator. I believe with practice anybody can be a good communicator. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, you have to face your fires. So, an analogy for you. I was blessed to be able to go and see Tony Robbins many years ago in America.
Wow.
For a weekend session. The first night was Friday night, and Tony Robbins said, at the end of this evening, I'm going to make you walk across fire. We all thought, what? And Tony Robbins took us out into the parking lot outside, and there was rows upon rows of burning embers in the parking lot. And the rows were maybe 12, 15 paces in length. And he said, by the end of the evening, you're going to walk across that fire. We thought, no way, no way. Well, as the evening went on, Tony Robbins calmed us into a meditative state. And I remember the words, and this is 20 years old information. He said, remember the mantra, cool mass. Just say to yourself, cool mass, cool mass, cool mass. And at 1 o'clock in the morning, he took us out in the parking lot, red hot embers. We took our shoes and socks off, and one by one he said, remember the mantra, cool mass, walk across that fire. One after one of us, cool mass, cool mass, cool mass, 12, 15 paces across those burning fires, and no burns on our feet. And the story and the moral of the story is, if you can face the fire, walk across the fire, what else can't you do? If you can do that, what else can you do? And I remember that today. If I can do that, if I think hard enough, have faith in what I'm doing, I can do anything. So that was something that I remember from the early days.
No, that was interesting. That's interesting. I've seen stories, I read books about that, but never
it's doable.
met anybody that actually did that.
And there's no trick to it.
No.
There's no trick to it. It's just faith and determination.
Yeah, see, and again, faith plays a huge part of everything you do because,
For sure.
A lot of times you have to believe it before you see it, and sometimes before you can touch it. And what parts in your business did you ever feel like this is not for me? Like this business is too slow or things is going wrong? Is there any time you had to tap into that true faith that was inside of you, or did everything was pretty much go smooth sailing?
Show me the person that says my business is perfect, it all goes right, nothing ever goes wrong, and I'll show you a liar. Because every business has its challenges, every single business. And you can become despondent when things go wrong. What can go wrong in a window treatments business? The things you've ordered for a customer don't turn up on time. You've promised them a date and they don't arrive. You promise in honesty and faith and they don't turn up on time. The product turns up and it's damaged, it's broken through shipping. An installer puts something else up wrong and the customer's angry. You make a mistake and the product doesn't fit. There are endless things that can go wrong in window treatments and in any other business. What sets you aside from others is how you tackle the problem that's presented to you. If you tackle the problem head on, up front, with honesty and integrity, these words I'm using on a regular basis during this conversation, honesty, integrity, then you can overcome the adversity that's put in front of you. Just face it. Don't shy away from it. Don't hide from it. Don't lie. Please don't lie in your business. Be honest with what you're doing. Show integrity, and what you thought was an intangible, insurmountable problem will, if you fix it, become insignificant.
Sweet, sweet, sweet. Is there anything that you wish you could have done different or regret or could have done better?
Regrets. Do I have regrets in my business? I'm going to say I don't have regrets. Again, in any business, you're not going to love the business all the time. You're going to have challenges. You're going to have horrible days. But I don't have regrets. Would I have done things differently? Yes. Depending on the sort of person you are, you're either going to start a business and keep it small and manageable and just have yourself in the business, maybe a partner, maybe another member of staff, but keep it small. And that's fine. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. But I wish I'd grown my business quicker. I wish that I'd taken on staff sooner than I actually did. We got to be a company with brick and mortar location, with 9 staff, including ourselves, with 4 vehicles, and a great turnover. But I got to that point later than I should have done. I should have started to grow the business earlier. The other thing I possibly should have done, and this is difficult for many people, myself included, was take myself out of the day-to-day running of the business. You'll sometimes hear the expression, don't work in your business, work on your business. Working in your business means you're working each day physically doing something. And my physical was I sold the window treatments with another gentleman, but we would sell the window treatments. What I should have possibly have done was step away from that function and looked over my business in a more managerial way and allowed others trained by us to do the functions that we were doing originally. So those are the regrets, not growing big enough and not putting myself in a more managerial position to allow myself to oversee the growth and expansion of the business without being physically in it day by day.
Okay. Very insightful. And I feel like the knowledge that you've given us today should be enough for somebody to kind of put themselves on a clearer path if they was feeling uncertain about something. You gave us a lot to kind of sleep on, and I appreciate that. And
then I think you asked me earlier, how did I sell my business?
Yes.
So it's the exit strategy, and it's going to come at a point in time, depending on your own strategy, early in a business. You say, I want a 5-year plan and I want to get out, or it's a lifelong plan. For us, it was a lifelong plan, almost 20 years. Another little piece of advice I want to give anyone who wants to look at this video is sometimes it's important to get help from a business coach who can hover 30,000 feet above your business dispassionately, you're passionate, dispassionately, and look at what you're doing, what your processes are, and how you can do things different. So we went through that process. We hired a business coach to observe what we were doing, and that enabled us to grow the business. Once we'd grown the business, and as I was getting later on my years, we wanted to sell the business. We used the same business coach who also had a brokerage to help us identify a buyer and go through that process of selling the business. You've got to make sure that the selling point, the price point is sensible for you. The exit strategy is what you want to do. You want to sell and enjoy the benefits of that sale versus, as I said earlier, managing the business and allowing others to run the business. For us, it was an exit strategy of sale, and I got assistance through a broker to do just that.
Okay.
Call 239-776-0018.